The AI you're talking to right now isn't thinking. It's doing math really, really fast. And once you understand that difference, everything about how these companies market AI, price it, and promise it will change the world starts to look a lot less magical and a lot more like the most expensive party trick in history. So let me be clear about what's actually happening inside an AI model when you ask it a question. You type something in. That text gets turned into numbers. It's called tokenization. Then those numbers get fed through layers and layers of mathematical operations. The model looks at patterns it learned during training and predicts the next most likely number, which gets converted back into a word. Then it does that again, and again, and again until it finishes your answer. That entire process, all of it, is math. Matrix multiplication, probability distributions, statistical inference. It's not reasoning. It's not understanding. It's not consciousness hiding in the weights. It's pattern matching at a scale so enormous that the pattern matching looks like thinking to us. Now here's where this gets interesting. Humans are really bad at spotting the difference between looks like thinking and actually thinking. We see a chatbot give us a coherent paragraph, and we go, wow, it understands me. We see it solve a coding problem, and we think, it's teaching itself. We see it write a poem, and we assume there's intention behind it. There isn't. There's just statistical correlation between tokens in a training dataset. But companies, the ones making billions off AI, they're betting on the fact that we can't tell the difference. And that's the real business model here. They're not selling you thinking. They're selling you the illusion of thinking, wrapped up in a sleek interface and a subscription fee. Let me give you a concrete example. GPT-4 is genuinely impressive. It's trained on massive amounts of text. It can do things that would have seemed impossible 10 years ago. But when you ask it a question, it doesn't have a goal. It doesn't have curiosity. It doesn't want to help you. It's executing a function. Given this input, predict the most statistically likely output. If that output happens to be helpful, great. If it happens to be completely wrong but sounds confident, that's a problem. But it's not a thinking problem. It's a math problem. And this matters because companies are making trillion-dollar decisions based on the assumption that these systems will think their way into being generally intelligent. They're saying, if we just scale it up enough, if we just feed it more data, if we just add more layers, thinking will emerge. But that's not how this works. You can't think your way out of not thinking. You can't make a calculator smarter by making it bigger. Now, I'm not saying AI is useless. It's not. Pattern matching at this scale is genuinely useful. It can write code. It can analyze documents. It can generate images. It can do 1,000 things that save time and money. The problem is the framing. The problem is that we've collectively decided to call this thinking, and that lie, that comfortable, profitable lie, is baked into how every single AI company talks about their product. OpenAI talks about AGI, artificial general intelligence. Google talks about AI that reasons. Microsoft talks about AI that understands. None of that is happening. What's happening is increasingly sophisticated statistical prediction. And that's a completely different thing. Here's the thing, though. The companies know this. The researchers know this. The engineers building these systems absolutely know that this is pattern matching, not thinking. But we build a really good statistical predictor doesn't sell venture capital. It doesn't justify a $100 billion valuation. We're one step away from artificial general intelligence does. So they've got a financial incentive to blur the line between what the system actually does and what it appears to do. And they're very good at it. They release demos that look incredible. They cherry-pick benchmarks that make the model look smarter than it is. They use language like reasoning and understanding and learning when none of those things are technically happening. And look, I get it. The technology is genuinely impressive from an engineering standpoint. These are real accomplishments. But impressing people and being honest about what you've actually built are two different things. And right now, the entire AI industry is choosing the former. So what should you actually understand about AI? First, it's a tool. A very sophisticated tool, but a tool nonetheless. Second, it's not magical. It's math. Third, when a company claims their AI can think, reason, or understand, they're either confused or they're selling you something. And fourth, the fact that it seems like it's thinking doesn't mean it is. Seeming is their entire business model. The wild part is that even as AI gets better at seeming, it's not actually getting closer to thinking. You could build an AI that passes every test we have for intelligence, and still be working with pure pattern matching. And that might be fine for most applications. But it means the premise of the entire industry, that we're building toward real thinking machines, is probably wrong. So if you want to actually understand what AI is and isn't, and you want to cut through the hype that companies are spending billions to build, subscribe. I break down one of these misconceptions every few days, and it's the only way to actually keep up with what's real versus what's marketing.